Welcome back to Marketing Connected. I'm your host, Rizwana Manjur, and you're tuned in to In Conversation, a series where we, as the title suggests, are in conversation with the industry's brilliant minds and experts. We have in the studio with us today Parminder Singh, also known as Perry by the industry, the co-founder of Claybox AI and also Capped. He also spent a year of his career as the COO of Tatler Asia, and before that, he spent 7 years as the Chief Commercial Officer and Chief Digital Officer at Mediacorp. Not to mention, Perry has also worked with the likes of Twitter, Google, IBM, and Apple, just to name a few. We've got lots to cover here, so welcome, Perry. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Rez. Good to be here.
Good to have you back after your holiday in Europe. Where were you? Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I was in London and Portugal. London was all about music and Portugal was all about golf. So perfect combination of two of my passions.
And now we have you working right back into it. You just came back yesterday and we're making you do this podcast.
Absolutely. What a better way to come back than to immerse yourself into podcasts.
Thanks for that. Okay, I want to talk about your new advisory venture, Claybox AI. So prior to that, you were at Tatler, before that at Mediacorp. And I think I first met you when you were at Twitter. That was a long time ago. Google, Apple, so on. Your career's taken you to all sorts of places, from tech to media, entrepreneurship. So who are you, Perry? Tell us a little bit about who Perry is. Is he the tech guy, the media guy, the commercial chief, the digital chief? I'm out of breath. Tell us instead.
You know, when you say it this way, it looks like I've ping-ponged from an industry to industry. But if you peel back the logos, there's a common thread that runs throughout, which is solving customer-focused problems through technology. That's been the common strain throughout all the roles that I've done, whether it was at Apple, where it was all about the Apple technology, or Google, where it was all about internet, Twitter, social, and so on. So if you were to ask me who am I would say two things. One is I'm probably a pattern detector. I like to detect patterns. If you look at, I joined Google at a very early stage.
Yeah.
So search was coming up and YouTube was coming up, joined social at an early stage. So I like to detect pattern. And then I want to use that pattern to have an impact using technology. So I'm an impact technologist.
Okay.
So you can call me a pattern detector and an impact technologist.
Okay. Wow. That's a very nice way of putting it. I would not have been able to put it so eloquently.
Well, I think your question brought out the eloquence in me.
Well, you're an incredible storyteller as well. I read all your posts and I saw your experience when you were flying with the seat this time around. Was it on
That's
Emirates, right? And
Emirates.
I read some of the posts you made about Air India. So I think definitely you're all of that and more. So I want to talk about your career choices that have always surprised me a little bit. I think, when you moved to Mediacorp from Twitter, we did an interview at the steps, remember? At the steps of Mediacorp. That was really fun when we had the magazine back in the day. And I was very surprised by that move. I was also very surprised when you moved from Mediacorp to Tatler after that. And then when you decided to launch your new venture, break down these moves for me as to why each of them made sense to you.
Well, firstly, I'm not surprised that you are surprised.
But you get that a lot.
Yeah, I do at times. I do not believe in linear careers.
Okay.
I believe in lattice careers.
Okay.
What that means is in a career, when you're making a career move, sometimes you go forward, sometimes you go sideways, sometimes you go diagonally, sometimes you even go backward to eventually move forward.
Yeah.
We all know the concept of simple interest and compound interest.
Yep.
Simple interest is very easy to visualize. Compound interest is not. A human brain is not meant to visualize what a compound interest does. It can only be appreciated in hindsight. The same is true for careers. So I believe in compounding careers. The more diverse experiences you have, they actually compound. And eventually it all makes sense because you connect the dots. So each of these experiences added a different framework, a different benchmark to the way I think, the way I act, the way I behave, the way I manage. And hence, it made sense to me and I made it. I didn't think of it as a move which is either forward or lateral. It just made the next logical sense. So when I evaluate a career choice, I just look at two things. where can I have the maximum impact, and where can I maximize my learning?
Right.
And if those two seem to make sense, well, it looks like a good choice.
Fair enough. And you are also the king of innovation, I would say. I remember when you were at MediaCorp, every other week there was something else that was coming out. I remember Bloomer was created when you were there. There's a lot of different ways of where you start measuring ad spend for your
That's
clients, bundling it in different ways. And when we had that chat earlier, when we had our copy session, remember a couple of months back, we were talking about how you had set KPIs, right? Every 3 months to come up with something new. That's what you wanted from your team. But while there can be no bad ideas, there can be bad commercial decisions. How do you sort of put a structure to innovation and not just make it innovation for the sake of it?
Yeah, sometimes, setting an innovation pace or innovation velocity is very important for many reasons. I mean, if you look at my stint at MediaCorp, for instance, a company like MediaCorp is up against not just the local players, but also global players like Google or Meta. Now, those players have the advantage of having a platform or platforms which operate at a global scale. They are digitally native and they have billions of users globally. Now, the ad dollars that MediaCorp or a company like MediaCorp or Tatler makes its business from, it has to compete with the Googles and the Metas of the world. Now, clearly, those are really large innovators. And if you are a local player like MediaCorp, you cannot innovate at that scale. You cannot have the global scale that a Google has.
Yeah.
You cannot hope to come up with the next YouTube or the next Instagram.
Yeah.
But what you can do is set the pace in terms of innovation velocity.
Okay.
You can come up with lots of innovation very frequently, very rapidly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Clients love investing in platforms that they perceive as innovative. We do lots of ship outs on a regular basis, either quarterly or monthly, whether it's a new product, a new pricing scheme, a new prototype, a new service. You do things rapidly because one thing that you have to your advantage, because you're not a global company, is that you can be very fast.
Yeah.
And so that does two things. One is it tells the clients that you are relevant because this is an innovative platform. So that messaging to the clients is very important. They know that they're investing their dollars in a company that has innovation at its heart,
Okay.
at its core. It also sets an internal message for the employees. It tells the employees that we are here to innovate. When you are working with a client, you're supposed to innovate in terms of coming up with new solutions, new ideas, new strategies. And it kind of sets the muscle memory for innovation, a muscle memory for experimentation. So I think relevance, internal culture of experimentation, both happens if you set a very frantic pace in terms of innovation.
Okay.
So that was the attempt.
Yeah.
Will all of those attempts and will all of those experiments work? No, they don't. Some will not work. But the messaging it gives to the market and to your own people is very important. It's more than the sum of its parts.
Okay, so how do you kind of bring that about? Because I think sometimes when we think of innovation, we think of this big grand idea, but
Yeah.
it can also just lie in the simplest of tweaks that happen, right?
Absolutely.
How do you sort of get them going? Because when people are comfortable in their jobs, they don't feel the need to change unless someone lights a fire behind. They're behind.
Yeah.
Right. So how
Yeah.
did you get that going for such a huge organization?
Yeah. Firstly, I think that it's a three-step process. One is you do have to find a team which takes innovation as its core mantra.
Yeah.
And that team does become the go-to team to start new ideas, to spread new ideas, to be innovation evangelists. I had the benefit of having a very smart set of people who just thought of, who were challenged by the idea of innovating, who really liked the process of creation and ideation and bringing something new to the market. So that's your core team. Once you have that right, then you need to start making a habit of bringing customer problems and getting a core set of people together and brainstorming things together.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in whiteboarding, very open whiteboarding. So I don't remember if you met in that room, but I had this room where I had a massive whiteboard, and the ideation was done very openly because I want people to get the idea that open ideation is the way to go. So that's the second thing. And the third thing is you make sure that innovation is part of everyone's KPI. When you're in sales or any commercial organization, you have the sales team that's rewarded on numbers, but you also have other people who are rewarded on solutions. But innovation is everyone's job, everyone's responsibility. So no matter who you could be a marketing person, you could be a salesperson, you could be a creative designer. Innovation should be part of your KPI. And that's something we just make sure that is understood by everyone, it's followed by everyone. And if you do these things right, and make sure that innovation is just part of your muscle memory, people respond.
Okay, so I also want to talk about your 10-year trajectory story that you told me the last time we met, where you had a boss who sort of outlined for you, hey, Perry, if you stay with us, this is what's going to happen. Your career is going to flourish that way. And the next day you just ran, right? It freaked you out. You are somebody who is uncomfortable being comfortable. Tell us a little bit more. Share the story with our audience.
Well, just to set the record right, I didn't run because he said that. I was already planning to move to a different company where my manager said, "Hey, Patty, your next 10 years are sorted in this company. This is the trajectory you will follow. So why are you moving?" And that convinced me that I have to move because I could foresee my 10 years.
Yeah.
So it was not because of that, but that kind of
It
reaffirmed
propelled
my
you.
choice. It propelled me further. So firstly, I have nothing against people who can spend 10 years in the same company or in the same role. I have some great friends, absolutely fantastic people who are doing an amazing job in the roles that they are doing. And they've been doing that for 15 years, even 20 years. I know some of them. They're absolutely fantastic. So nothing against that. I like to approach my roles and at least the projects that I take up from its innovation at its core.
Okay.
And I believe that there is, at some stage, there is a law of diminishing innovation.
Okay.
Once you get very settled in your role, everything is streamlined, then you start focusing on optimizing and iterating instead of innovating. And at that stage, I think it's my own personal philosophy, is that I'd rather be in a role where innovation is actually the core of what I'm doing rather than optimizing and iterating. Everyone is different. Everyone has a very different approach to the way they approach their job. And I have nothing against people who might want to innovate in the beginning. And then after that, they just want to manage and optimize. That's perfectly fine as well. I chose to be in a position where I can innovate at a constant level, at a very high energy level. And when I see that my own innovation energy is diminishing, and somebody new with a fresh pair of eyes can come and do a better job of innovating in that role than I did, because I've exhausted my innovation bandwidth, I think it's time to move on. That having said, I was at Google for more than 6 years. I was at Mediacorp for more than 7 years. And that was because the problem statement kept evolving in both these companies. So my innovation appetite kept getting whetted because the problem statement, the projects, the objectives kept moving every year.
Yeah.
So there's a way to innovate for several years in the same job as well. My own philosophy is wherever I think that my capacity to innovate is lesser than what it was when I joined the role, I probably think it's time to move on to a different challenge.
Okay, very interesting. And talking about AI, you are in that space right now. You've decided to launch your own thing. Tell us a little bit about your venture. Why did you choose AI when it's already such a cluttered space? Tell us a little bit about what sets you apart and what you do.
AI is not cluttered, but I think it's unstructured.
Okay.
It might appear cluttered, simply because there is no structure available to it as yet, because we are at a very nascent stage. In some ways, it reminds me of what internet was back in the 90s. I'm dating myself now. But in the 90s, internet was this new thing which had a lot of potential, a lot of excitement, and also a lot of concern.
Yeah.
People didn't know what to do with this. They thought it's just all about creating websites, and hence that led to something called a dot-com boom, where a dot-com started getting applied to problems or situations where it didn't even have relevance, and hence we saw a dot-com crash. But what happened at the other end of the dot-com crash was the fact that there are some amazing business models, amazing companies that emerged. We know all about them. There's the Google, there is Amazon, there is Meta, and so on, right? And I think that's the stage we are in with AI as well. This, I think, is the fourth large technology explosion of our time. The first was, at least that one that I've seen, the first was personal computers. Personal computers came into existence. All of us started using computers. I was lucky enough to be at Apple at that time. Steve Jobs was coming up with this amazing set of innovations, the iMacs and iPods and iPads and so on. So that was one. Second was internet. Business models like Google came, search, and so on. Third was social. Social was a big revolution as well. And I think fourth is AI. And I think AI probably will be bigger than all the previous revolutions. It's going to be way more fundamental. But the problem with AI is that it's not a software product. It's not something that you can buy off the shelf and hope to apply it. You know, when, let's say, something like an ERP came or when computers came, you could just have bought a computer or bought ERP and applied it. In AI, to apply AI, you have to fundamentally rewire your business model. You have to reskill your employees. You have to reimagine your processes. And it requires change at a very fundamental level. And I do think that people who actually start doing this now are the ones who will set the narrative for AI in the coming years.
Yeah. So is it fair for me to say that you work with a lot of the leading CEOs and C-suite individuals to drive this change? And what have you seen to be their biggest apprehension or barrier to change?
Yeah. So the barrier to change is that you have to, you know, it's not a software product that you can simply buy off the shelf and apply it to your organization. And it requires, currently there are three types of gaps that exist. The first gap is the clarity gap. What can AI do for me or my company? The second gap is the capability gap. How do I get the right set of people who understand AI and can help me implement AI into my organization? And the last, the most important, is the conviction gap. Be convinced about applying AI to your business processes to move AI from pilot to production. So clarity, capability, and conviction. These are the three types of gaps that leaders are currently facing. But hey, let's, it's important to understand that while AI has existed for several decades now, it got mainstream only 3 years back when ChatGPT was launched in November 22, I think. That's when it got mainstream. And all of a sudden, it moved from a backroom topic to a boardroom priority. So it's all happening in the last few months. And I think our leaders, employees need some more time to absorb the message, to internalize it, and apply it to their respective business processes. And this is what our passion at Claybox AI is, to work with companies to help them use AI, either as a personal productivity tool or as a transformer for their entire business model. There's a reason why we call it Claybox AI. Clay can take any shape we want it to, and hence we will take any shape depending on the needs of our clients and our customers.
Okay, fair enough. I do wonder because sometimes it's a space that's evolving so quickly, right? You can't seem to get a grasp of it because something new comes up all the time.
That's right.
And so maybe it's like some of the mindsets out there might be that, okay, let this calm down a little bit and then I will digest it. Because so much of what we're talking about in the tech space or in the marketing space, sometimes, and I'm not saying AI is one of them, but sometimes is more hype, right? And you talk about it for a while and it fades away and then the real work begins. Do you encounter that in the conversations?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of noise out there. And sometimes the noise does obfuscate the signal. But that's where companies like ours come in, where we help leaders, we help companies understand what is noise and what is signal. I don't think any company in this day and age has the luxury or should be complacent and think that let the hype be over and then I'll jump into it. It's going to be too late. The business models can change really drastically. Before you know it, your business could actually be being done by a model or an app which sits on top of an LLM. So you got to be in it. You got to be out there into the weeds and understand how AI can potentially transform your business. You know, as they say, if an innovation approaches you, that's disruption. If you approach innovation, that's innovation. That's innovation, right? So you got to be on the innovation side and not the one who's getting disrupted. And the time to act on or bring AI into your business model or into your life is now. The way to start it, okay, that could be very simple. Just start using AI tools. Just start dabbling. The good part about AI is it's a level playing field.
Yeah.
It's so new that there's nobody who can claim to be an expert in AI. All these tools are so new. It's a level playing field.
Yeah.
It's all democratic. So all of us are, and people who seem to have a head start of just only a few weeks or a few months.
Yeah.
So it's not too late to catch up.
Yeah.
So the time to act on it is now.
Yeah, fair enough. So we've spoken a fair bit about, your career so far. Let's talk about Perry the person. Who is Perry, right? Who are you when you're not working? And also, now that you're an entrepreneur, what's your day like? How do you keep your discipline?
Yeah, I believe that if something is important for you, you have to structure it into your routine.
Okay.
There's a saying that goes, how you spend your days is how you spend your life. So you have to, whatever you feel passionate about, you have to incorporate it in your day-to-day routine. And I am a strong believer in calendarizing and having a structure to my days.
Okay.
Though I like unpredictability in terms of my future career, we talked about it. I like a lot of predictability and structure in my day-to-day habits.
Okay.
On the professional side, I try to compartmentalize my day into 4 different compartments. One is strategy. Make sure that strategically you're thinking about the right things. So that's one. Second is operations. And in fact, as an entrepreneur, and that's a big difference, right? You do not have a large team handling the operations for you. So you got to be doing it all by yourself.
Yeah.
So strategy and then operations. Third is client meetings and client centricity, right? You got to meet clients, you got to meet customers. You can't just be in your own echo chamber and imagining things. That's the third part. And the fourth part, very important, because I'm in the field of AI, is learning.
Okay.
You have to keep learning. So I do make sure that over a week, I've allocated adequate amount of time to each of these buckets: strategy, operations, customers, and learning.
Okay.
On the personal side, I'm a joyful dabbler.
Okay.
I like to dabble in a lot of things. I believe in wide angle curiosity.
Okay.
You got to be curious about a lot of things. So I can tell you a few. Because I'm in the business of predicting the future, I believe you can't know the future unless you know the past. I love reading about history.
Okay.
I'm a big history buff, anthropology, so I read a lot of history. I'm a very voracious reader.
Yeah.
I never go anywhere without my Kindle. At any point of time, I'm reading 2 to 3 books. I read all the time, all kinds of subjects. I got into this phase where I was reading only nonfiction, but then I realized that I'm kind of not doing justice to a part of me which does enjoy fiction. So I'm reading a lot of fiction as well. What else? I listen to a lot of podcasts while gymming or running. I love running. I love
Marketing
hiking.
Connected is on your list.
It is. It pretty much is.
Yeah.
So I dedicate at least a couple of hours listening to podcasts on a daily basis. I can strum the guitar a bit, so frets over a little bit. So music is a big part of my life. What else? So
You're the third interview that we've had who's good with music. So many marketers are great with music, and we never knew that, right, Shin? It's quite interesting.
I'm the 5-chord strumming guitarist, but I enjoy it. I enjoy music.
Yeah.
Lots of activity. I just want, and very importantly, writing is a part of my routine. I believe that I don't know what I'm thinking till I write it.
Oh.
So I have to write almost every day.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So I wake up and I start writing. Some of that makes its way to my social media posts. I write for a few publications. Some of it just stays with me, but it helps me just think through things better. But you have to incorporate all these things into your routine. Otherwise, they sometimes may not feel important and they are not urgent. But you'll realize that you spent the last month not actually indulging in any of these things that really give you joy. And I want to make sure that I work on things that really spark joy on a daily basis.
Oh, wonderful. That's really nice. Okay, final question from me, Perry. I have long admired how you take all these risks, join these companies that are not seen as conventional moves for you. what advice would you have to our listeners in embracing this sense of unknown, the uncomfortable, which is what led us to have these conversations
Sure.
today in the first place?
Sure. Yeah. I would say two things. One is it's very important for the young people and the youth to know that you are always more ready than you think you are at any point of time. If I look back and, if I was to be talking to my younger self, one thing that I would say to myself is you were always more ready. We always think that the guy who has a corner office probably knows more than I do, or they know something that I don't, and I'm not ready. And someday I'll be ready enough. Don't wait for that.
Yeah.
You're always more ready. So be more, ask more, demand more. I think that's one. The second is never chase titles. Never. Always chase problems. If the problem excites you, if your gut tells you this is a problem that I would love solving, you're probably made for that job. Now, irrespective of the company, irrespective of the title, irrespective of a lot of other things. So you're always more ready than what you think you are. So just be more, demand more, ask more, claim more. And B is that you definitely should chase not titles, but problems. And if an exciting problem, just go for it.
Amazing. Okay, thank you very much, Perry. And on that note, we've come to the end of today's conversation. Thanks again, Perry. That was really insightful.
Thank you for having me, Rizwana. And I always love talking to you, be reading all the stuff that you actually put out in Marketing Interactive. Big fan of your work. And I'm really glad that you're doing this series of interaction. And it's my privilege and honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And to our listeners out there, fear not, although this interview with Parminder Singh is over, you can head over to your favorite podcast platforms to check out more In Conversation episodes and other marketing connected interviews. Be sure to follow us on Marketing Interactive's social media pages, LinkedIn, Telegram, Facebook, Instagram. Once again, thank you for tuning in to Marketing Connected, brought to you by Marketing Interactive. Thank you and goodbye, everyone.